Hey guys, Coach Chris here, back with another video. I played a game this morning that I've kind of been thinking about all day because I feel like it has a lot to teach us about sort of the nature of chess and how we ought to be thinking about the game, how we can go about training, preparing for the game. I don't know that my thoughts are fully formed on this yet, but I'm going to give it a go here. So, it was a blitz game, 5-5. At the end, I was rated 1812, and after this game, my opponent was rated 1940. So pretty heavily outrated by my opponent here. And according to the engine, we both played a very accurate game in terms of chess.com's engine accuracy assignment, I guess. And we can see that the engine says I had one inaccuracy, one mistake. My opponent had no inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders, and had one miss. Missed one chance to punish me. And so, based on our performance, according to the engine, it assigned us a performance rating each of 2650. Now, I'm not trying to get into an argument about, is that performance rating accurate? How do they calculate that? I'm not trying to get into that. The point, at least that I'm taking away from this, there are a couple things. First off, accuracy essentially equates to performance rating, or at least close enough as to not make much difference. So if we're trying to get better, if we're trying to increase our accuracy, well, we want to do that by first and foremost avoiding blunders when we can, and then hopefully we can reduce our mistakes and our inaccuracies as well. One takeaway that I have from this counter here is that even though I had one inaccuracy and one mistake, I still drew the game against a higher rated opponent. What that tells me is that the drawing margins in this game that we love, the drawing margin is pretty wide. It really takes a blunder or a series of serious mistakes to win or lose a chess game. And so if you're trying to increase your accuracy, if you're trying to increase your performance rating, in my mind anyway, it seems to make the most sense to just try to play simple, bingus-free chess. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. And so in this game, that's exactly what I did. All I did here was, in this Catalan type position, was just play the exact moves that I gave you all in the Jackson Chess Don't Bingus Black Repertoire. Against 1e4 I offered the French, and then against every other thing I offered the Queen's Gambit declined, and against the Catalan I recommended stuff like this. White, if they come out and check you early, you can block with the bishop. Queen has to move away, recapturing the pawn. And then after bishop c6, here we are on move 6, and what started out as our problem piece in this Queen's Gambit, and what White hoped would be their best piece on g2, are going to be traded off. Knight recaptures, we have lots of pressure on d4, and when White takes on c5, we can just very easily get that pawn back. With queen a5 check, White blocks, we take the pawn back, and after the queen trade, it's equal, but I've got two pieces out, White only has one. White would castle here. I played king e7, so we're heading into an endgame where my king is going to be closer to the center. And I just developed my pieces. Here is where I made, it feels like an inaccurate move. The engine says it's fine, but rook ac8 really should be the best move here. It just feels most natural, right? You're developing your rook. I was worried about discoveries on the bishop, so I just moved the bishop out of the way. It turns out there were no discoveries to fear there, and so I should have just developed the rook. Anyway, I moved my bishop out of the way. Here's my big mistake. I also ran this game through the engine over on Lichess, and it says that this is just an inaccuracy. It doesn't think this is so bad. But even so, white didn't capitalize, and I just recaptured and have a nice centralized rook. b5 is a nice move to fix the pawn on a3, and now if I can ever get my knight into c4, it'll be protected by my pawn, and it'll add pressure to that pawn on a3. White doubled up on the c file, but that's not really accomplishing anything. The knight went back, and now I have a chance to bring my knight into c4. After this check, just very simply blocking the check and defending the pawn. And so after my knight gets into c4 and white captures, now my king is even closer into the middle. I've got two attackers on a3. White has to defend pretty passively, and although black is ever so slightly better here, it's really not enough to win. And my 1940 opponent, unsurprisingly, played well, and we ended up getting a pretty simple drawn rook endgame. Not a whole lot to say about it here. Here it's just important that whenever you just basically don't let white's king in, and now neither side can make progress, and we eventually repeated the position and got a draw. Now I'm not taking a deep dive into that middle game or end game. Basically the whole opening I've already covered for you in the Don't Bingus Repertoire. And so again, my takeaways from this game: this is by far the highest performance rating that I can remember having on chess.com. But when you look at the moves of the game, at least to me, once you've done the opening work and you're just in the middle game, I mean, this just seems like a very simple, very easy middle game to navigate, right? You develop your pieces, the queens are off, so the king's going to be safe in the center. Rooks belong on the open files. There's nothing crazy or hard or complicated about that. It's just simple, risk-free, bingus-free chess, which equates to high accuracy rating and high performance rating. So, what was not in that game? Calculating 20 move deep combinations were not in that game. But, simple tactics, how do I regain the pawn quickly, efficiently, and offer a trade of white's only active piece? Well, queen a5 does the job. Simple little tactics. I'm in check and my b pawn's hanging. How do I defend against that? And I just drop the rook back. Nothing crazy, nothing sophisticated. So how do we do it? How do we play risk-free, bingus-free chess? How do we eliminate blunders? Well, first step I think is just playing, right? Getting more experience. Secondly, I think we just have to grind tactics and not just insane calculation exercises where you're calculating a lot of different moves very deeply. I really do think that Puzzle Rush Survival Mode and Lichess Puzzle Streak, I really believe that that's how you improve, that's how you get better at chess, that's how you stop blundering and how you start capitalizing on your opponent's blunders. And if you're just following sound principles, you're just developing, trying to control the center, trying to keep your king safe, even if you don't do it perfectly, even if you have an inaccuracy or a mistake or two along the way, as long as you're just avoiding the catastrophic blunder, you're going to be fine. My opponent had no inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders, and still didn't beat me. I think that says a lot for risk-free chess. and the Don't Bingus repertoire that I prepared for you guys. So anyway, feel free to share your thoughts on the video, on the game. Let me know what you think. I really feel like this game, though, validates my perspective, my repertoire, and what I've been doing to train, which is just pattern recognition tactics and playing games and analyzing them and trying to play solid, simple, understandable openings. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Thanks for watching. Keep grinding those tactics. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.